Greetings and salutations. Today we're going to have a go at this drawing and ink painting of Fountains Abbey in North Yorkshire. It's a fantastic view with lots of opportunity for light and shadow, which I think ink lends itself to. Um, I've just done a proprietary sketch of the building in pencil first, and right now I'm doing a pen drawing over the top of this. And this is a waterproof pen, and it's a uni pen fine liner, and 0.1 is its size. Quite a thin pen because I don't want it to stand out through the ink, if you know what I mean. And one of the most important things is this is a waterproof pen. So when I go over at a later date with water and ink, it doesn't smudge. So that's the main thing that we're looking for. As you can see, I'm just doing the main lines of the building really, just so I can see through. Once I do get that ink on there, it'll be difficult to see the pencil, so I'm doing this pen for that reason. So I'm wanting to do some highlights, and I'm going to need to see the drawing beneath rather than going in blind. Now this is I quite enjoy this view. I'm quite local to Fountains Abbey itself, National Trust property. Some great history there. And this is a drawing that I've done before many times, but I thought I'd do for this video especially. There's I'll tell you about the paper I'm using as well. This is a Bockingford paper, which is about 300 GSM, so it's quite thick. It'll take some hammering with the amount of water I'm going to throw at it later on. And I've stuck this on a board with some gunpaper. So I'm going to talk to you through the stretching of the paper first, especially, which is it's important really, especially when working with watercolors or inks, because the last thing you want is the paper to start bending and causing havoc with pools of water, etc. Now, because of the size of this paper, I have to use a bath to sink the paper into a water bath, essentially. Not to give it a clean or a wash, but just to get the moisture in there, so that when we dry it out on the board, it'll be nice and taut. I'll leave this in the bath for maybe 5-10 minutes, no more than that. And then I bring it onto the board, give it a little dab over, and stretch the gum tape over the top, keeping it nice and taut. I'll then leave this overnight, in which case in the morning we have a nice surface area to work with, nice and flat, with no lumps or bumps, which is what we're looking for. And then you're ready to go with your drawing and paint on after that. Again, as you can see, I'm just doing a very light drawing, not loads of detail on here. There's you could do a lot more if you wanted to, but I find with you can create a lot more with paint rather than the drawing. I'm just looking for the main points of reference really. Now this is quite a good, when I get into the painting, it's quite a good technique really. It creates some fascinating displays of colour when the black ink dries into the water. You get a lot more colours than just black. Black isn't a colour at the end of the day. It's a couple of colours together that it just creates a dark really. And this separates into blues and golds. And no, it's quite interesting. Okay, so now I'm just using a hake brush here, quite a wide brush, just to get that water on as quick as I can. Um, I'm up against time here, especially because the water's going to seep in and it's going to dry fairly quickly. So I'm just using this, just plain cold tap water. Get it on the paper, get it all moving about. I'm using a lot here really because I'm looking for the ink to seep through areas. I've not got many dry spots here at all. It's just to get that water on as quick as you can. It lends itself really to these, as you can see I've got the Abbey there on that mound, and there's a river beneath it, so I got the reflection in. Um, and using watercolour, of course, makes a good watery scene. Get some good flow there. Now this is the Quink ink, Parker pen ink that I use. You can get these bottles. I buy them online, and you don't use a lot. It takes a little while to use it all, really. Um, I'm just putting it on, in no really particular order. Dabbing less on than more is better, because although this looks nothing at the moment, it will seep through. As you can see here, you can start turning your board upside down and moving it about, plainly to get the ink moving through that water you've just put on. Look at it there, it's just dropping down just to suggest some sort of clouds that are just seeping, the moment when the rainstorms are coming, I suppose, and you just see it seeping into the sky beneath. It's a good medium, really. I'm getting used to it now. It takes a little while to get used to. It's unpredictable. You're not you're not being very particular about it, and you can't be particular. You've got to just put it on, see what happens, and that's the joy of it. You can see already it's creating some blues. From that black, getting it's diluting. The water's diluting it, and you start to see a few colours just appearing now. And I'm leaving areas, particularly. I'm not covering the board with ink. I'm wanting some light to come through, the suggestion that the clouds and there's some sort of sun maybe shining through. And I couldn't really make this picture again. They're very individual, ink paintings. I wouldn't be able to create the same effect again. It'd be slightly different every time, because you're working with the water and the way it flows, picking up the board and just moving it about, see what happens, move it about a little bit more. just going in with a little bit more water here just to dilute again. Some areas I want to leave darker, some areas I want to leave a little bit lighter. And those at home that are looking into getting into a bit of quick ink painting, just have a go at a small piece. Try small, see what effects you can create, and then you can go bigger and commit yourself to something, to a subject matter. I do love the contrast between the light and dark. It creates for a striking image. This is quite an old brush I'm using here. I think that the hair's dropping out. But I don't use, I'm not spending a lot of money at all on these brushes here. These are just plain brushes. I find especially with the ink it seems to stain, so get everywhere, so you've got to be careful while you're doing this. I can often clean my brushes at the end, and when I next have a go, there's still there's still some residue in there, so which is okay for the ink, but as long as I don't get it muddied up with other watercolours. Now I'm just filling in this area beneath. There's a bit more water, getting that suggestion that there's a reflection there. There's a few golds going on now, it's sort of yellowy colours, yellows and blues, just coming out of that quick ink. Again, we're not being really particular about this. It's just getting the colour, getting that ink on, getting it diluted in areas, making for some good mark making. I'm just taking a little bit of the water off here. I don't want too much, it's just starting to puddle up a little bit. There we go, I'm just filling in now, filling in that reflective area. See how I've just made a few drops there, but that's absolutely fine. I didn't mean to do that, but it adds to it, you happy little accidents, I suppose these are. And they'll make for a better painting because it's not confined and it's not planned to anything. Look at that, how the ink moves now. It's just really spread out over that that paper, and it just does its thing, you know. Doesn't matter where it goes, I can just keep moving that board, keeping it in check in areas. Just flicking a little bit there, just for a bit of texture. Okay, so I've come to the end of the ink area. Finished with spreading all that about now. I'm just moving on to the next stage, which I'm just going to play about with this cling film. I've heard people using it in watercolors sometimes just for added effect. So, of course, this is still wet, and I'm going to put this on while it's still wet and let it dry and see what sort of effects we get. I'm just going to scrunch it all up so we can get as much little recesses in there, little lines as we possibly can. I don't want this perfect cling film. I want it all, you know, really full of texture, and that's the effect that I'm wanting. And I'm just gonna, I think, lay it on this bottom part of the picture where the river comes through, and there's a few hills on the side as well. And it's just laying it gently down there. Um, so when this does dry, it will. I should hopefully get some sort of marbling effect, which should be quite interesting. Good, you know, it's just these techniques again, just to play about, see what happens. Might not work. Who cares? So I'm just trying my best really to get it fitted in where I want it, but also not getting rid of all the lines and the creases in the cling film, because that's what I want. I want all them lines in there, as many as I can get. Just pressing, you know, just tweaking it a little bit to as to what you want. Yeah, I think I'm happy with that. Should be fine. So again, we just leave this till it's totally dry now. All of it'll blend in a little bit more. It'll also go paler than it is now. But yeah, let's see what happens. Okay, so it's all dry now. Let's take it off. Let's see what's happening. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, it's not made loads of lines as I'd like, but yeah, there's some interest there, isn't there? We've got a few little bits of marbling. It's got a bit bluer as well, which is interesting. So yeah, we'll go with that. We'll see what happens. We can go over with some more ink and play about. But yeah, it's alright, a few bits and pieces. Okay, so this is the exciting part, I suppose. We're now going to use some bleach on the Abbey itself, just to pick out a lot of them light areas. So we're essentially going to draw with bleach over that under drawing we did before we painted over it. So I'm just using a rigger brush here, dipped in the usual just toilet bleach, and I'm just laying it on. As you can see, it sort of burns through the ink to the paper very lightly. You know, you're not getting any holes in the paper at all, but it's just burning through, and you end up with this quite striking gold, orangey goldy colour. So it just looks like a maybe evening nighttime view, and it's all lit up there in the light. So that's the effect I'm going to go with. And notice just the technique of dry brush as well, that you've probably used with watercolour before, creating different textures for the stonework. But yeah, look how bright it is, and really it adds that colour onto this painting. And behind it, if we look at that sky effect I've created by not using as much ink in places and letting it feed into the water. It gives that sort of cloudy effect with the light coming through. So I'm just gonna probably leave this video running a bit just for you to watch how I get that bleach on, and I'm just using the underdrawing, which I can obviously see now, and I'm just following the lines just to create this this lovely Abbey here. Okay, so I'll leave that with you there. Okay, so I'm back again, and just thought I'd talk through a bit more. Um, all these brushes I use are all really quite old brushes, cheaper brushes. I'm not spending a lot on these because ultimately I'm using them in bleach, which although is a good cleaner, it'll also degrade your brushes quite quickly, really, depending on how much you use them. Um, but yeah, it's quite a cool thing to use. It's quite messy. You've got to be careful with your clothing, with stains from the ink and the bleach. But a cool little technique here. What I'm going to do is go over a few more areas with the pure ink as well as I've done here. Um, Again, just lifting a few of the highlights, darkening areas. It's yeah, it's good. Just going over a few lines where there's maybe a deep shadow. Okay, so now I'm just making a bit more focus on this bank side, just to separate the river from the sky and bits below as well. Just suggestion that there's maybe a few bushes and bits and pieces, some reeds and all that whatnot. And this, I'm just coming to the end now, really. I've made a few more changes. I've added a bit more splatter as well, going in here with a few birds there. Just suggestion. There's a bit of life going on, a bit of movement. I splattered a bit of bleach as well, just along the riverside there. I've also gone in with a little bit of pastel with the purples and the blues, just as a highlight really of the land, and maybe yeah, I've put a bit in the sky with the purple pastel. Just a suggestion, maybe there's a suggestion of a northern lights. I think the blues and purple seem to suit the combinations of colours going on. And the just acrylic pens here with drawing these birds, just to get a fine edge on it. Yeah, so there we go. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you'll have a go as well, about whatever view takes your fancy. Maybe you can paint along with this one.